Crimson Desert hit the market about 6 weeks ago as of this video, and in that time the developers Pearl Abyss has pushed out more updates and changes to the game than many other developers do in a year. And it's not only bug fixes and behind the scenes fixes either. A lot of it is changes and additions to the game that the community asked for. So to try and keep track, let's go through some of the biggest changes and additions for Crimson Desert since release. Number 1. Storage. When the game came out, there was no storage at all. You only had your inventory slots and that was it. Thankfully, just 3-4 days after launch, we got the private storage chest, so we could finally store our items, and the chest itself had 240 slots. If you remember in the beginning, the chest was behind Carl in the Greymane camp, so you tried to open the chest and focus in, but then you focused on Carl instead, and yeah, it was a whole thing. Thankfully, that didn't last more than a few days, and the chest was moved into the tent, where it still is today. And a few days after that, they expanded the storage up to 1,000 slots, depending on how much you have upgraded the camp. This is all well and good, but the devs were not finished yet. About a week ago, they added 4 more storage options. The sturdy Gatherables chest, which is meant to store ores and wood and any item used in crafting. The Cuckoo Cooler, an enhanced Cuckoo Cooler, which is meant to store ingredients used for cooking. The Collectibles chest, that you can store all your millions of books and crafting recipes, and also quest items. And finally, the outfit storage, or wardrobe, which is of course meant to store armor and clothing. The best part about these chests is that all crafting items and ingredients automatically gets pulled from the chest when you need them, so you don't have to keep that stuff in your inventory anymore. There's still some small improvements, of course, that can be made, like a deposit all buttons, so you don't have to put items in one by one manually, but it's safe to say this is some amazing quality of life improvements in a very short time. Number 2. Abyss Nexus. In Crimson Desert, you fast travel via something called an Abyss Nexus. These are spread across the entire map, but at launch, there were actually way less of them. In fact, most cities and even the Greymane camp didn't have one. Thankfully, we can now fast travel directly into cities, and some cities even have multiple Abyss Nexuses. Nexi. Another thing they improved was the speed of the fast travel itself by decreasing the loading times significantly, and also allowing you to fast travel while riding your horse, swimming, climbing, and so on. Whereas before, you had to stand completely still. A smaller change, but a very, very welcome one. Number 3. Difficulty. The Day 1 patch changed a lot of things, and the difficulty already got its first adjustments here. Health and damage got adjusted on some bosses, stamina consumption got lowered, and various moves and attack patterns were changed. Some of these changes were necessary, while others are subjective. Fast forward to today, and we now have difficulty settings going from easy to normal to hard. Normal being the same as pre-patch. Hard introduces new moves for some bosses, reduced timing window for parry and dodge, and overall makes the enemies stronger and faster. What do you guys think of this change? Let me know down below. Number 4. Controls and moveset. Perhaps the most requested and necessary change in Crimson Desert was, and still is, the controls and general feel of the game. A few days after release, Pearl Abyss sent out an update which improved the responsiveness and the speed of the UI, inputs like jumping and general character movement. They also added keyboard shortcuts for inventory, skills, journal and map, and in general just cleaned up a lot of the keybinds. A few days after that, we got an overhaul to running and sprinting, whereas before you had to continuously tap the sprint button to keep up the speed like in GTA, and now you can just hold the button. Also for the horse. Flight has also been improved by reducing stamina usage and also adding the skill Focused Aerial Roll for covering long distances quickly. Overall, the controls and the movement of Cliff and the companions have been vastly improved, and Pearl Abyss keeps adjusting small quality of life features like picking up items. Now you don't have to hold the button anymore and wait a second for every item, you just instantly pick it up as you press the button. Number 5. Mounts and pets. Animals plays a big part in Crimson Desert, whether it's using them for food and crafting, or as pets and mounts for transport. The mounts range from wolves to horses to even dragons. When you got to play the game on release day, you had a pretty good selection of mounts, and patch 1.01 added 5 more legendary mounts. The cloud cart finally works as it should now, even though it's more for fun than actual transport. You've been able to tame cats and dogs and keep them as pets since the beginning, but a recent patch expanded this to birds as well, and more legendary birds have been added since then. So now, as far as I know, you can actually tame pretty much every bird in the game, including a phoenix. Number 6. Improved camp. Spoilers ahead for this one, but as you know, you get access to the Howling Hill camp pretty early on, and this camp has seen various improvements like the storage chests I just mentioned, a closer fast travel point, etc. But the second camp in Payloon is the one that got the biggest change. At launch, the Payloon camp was honestly pretty bad, with NPCs spread out all over, making it a chore to do anything there. People started warning others not to do the quest that moves the camp and instead just stay at Howling Hill. One of the most recent patches addressed this issue and has now clustered the important NPCs and traders that you often interact with closer together, finally making Payloon feel like a natural next step. Number 7. Boss Rematch. You can now rematch any boss at any time by going to the site of the encounter and lighting up your lantern. A memory fragment will appear and the boss can be fought again. You also have 2 options for scaling. Reminisce keeps the original strength and HP as you fought it the first time, and Resonate upscales the boss to match the player's progression. You're free to choose if you want to fight with Cliff, Damien or Unka, so this is a good opportunity to observe skills you might have missed. One feature that might change in the future: any consumables used in the fight will be restored when the battle ends, so you don't use anything. And that also means you won't receive any loot from the boss either. But again, this might change. Number 8. Re-Blockade. Similarly to Boss Rematch, the devs also introduced Re-Blockade. This is a feature that repopulates 23 forts and quarries across Pywell based on a few settings. As of now, 13 different factions can take over these locations, so again, this might be a good opportunity to grab those skills you missed. Perlabis said this feature will be changed and improved going forward by adding more factions, adjusting the difficulty, and so on. I personally love this addition as it gives more longevity, and I also like that you can just turn it off completely if you want to feel like you finished an area. Number 9. Headgear and weapon visibility. A smaller change, but a heavily requested one, was to be able to hide your shield when not in use. This was added in a patch, as well as being able to hide every weapon not in use. So you now got the option to show your headgear at all times like before, only show in combat, hide in cutscenes, and always hide. When it comes to weapons, you can show only the active selected weapon, or show all like before. And you can also choose to see the ranged weapon you have, only when in use, or all the time like before. Number 10, and tons more. A few more notable changes and additions include: mineral deposits are now automatically marked on the map when you're within about 8 meters, and so are the memory fragments and treasure chests. We now have map filters and a search option, and caves you have explored get a checkmark. Thank God. New skills have been added for Cliff, Unka and Damien. Those pesky gold bars placed around the world can finally be picked up and gives 5 silver each. Puzzles are more streamlined and visuals have been improved for clarity. Watch and learn now requires only 1 observation instead of 2. Changed logging, so trees can be chopped with basic swings without aiming, and fewer hits are required overall. Facilities at strongholds and enemy camps have a function now, so destroying them actually give effects like reduced enemy attack and health. You can use a pickaxe to gather bismuth ore now instead of lightning attacks. General minigame difficulty have been lowered, like arm wrestling, QTE, archery and marksmanship. Tons of stability improvements and performance fixes for PC, Mac and consoles. Added refinement tokens for easier equipment upgrades. Cooking has been sped up with a make now function, so you don't have to manually select each ingredient anymore. You can finally steal without losing contribution, as long as you're not seen, of course. Locked doors require a button press now, instead of automatically unlocking and using one of your keys just by being close to the door. Inventory now has category tabs. Added livestock vendors across Pywell, so you can buy pigs, cows, goats, etc. directly from these NPCs. NPCs in general react to their environment better than before. And of course, an endless amount of bug fixes. And I could go on for hours. It's safe to say Crimson Desert has improved tremendously since it released, and more updates is no doubt on the way. In fact, just as I was finishing this video, another big update dropped with tons of new content and fixes. So at this moment in time, the game is in a very good state, so even if there might still be some small issues here and there, which is to be expected for a game of this size, I would say this is the best time to jump into it if you've been on the fence. Let me know your favorite change down in the comments, and also if there's something you hope they add or change in the future. And thanks for watching.